Was sitting in a motel room 200 miles from home when my phone lit up with 41 messages I was never meant to see. My cousin had added me to the family group chat by mistake. One tap of the wrong name and suddenly I was watching my mother, my brother, and my aunt plan an entire Christmas around the single goal of keeping me away from it. Not because they forgot me, because they needed me gone. My mother typed it clean, no hesitation. "Don't let Claire know. Tell her it's the 27th again." My brother answered underneath, "Already handled. She won't check." My uncle sent a laughing face. I read every word twice. Then I screenshotted all 41. And on Christmas morning, while they raised their glasses in a house they thought was already sold, I typed one line back into that chat. "Merry Christmas. Call the title company before you sign anything." The group went silent. Then my phone started ringing and didn't stop, because none of them remembered the document my grandfather filed. He had 9 years ago, the one with my name on it. I should tell you who I am because it matters for what comes next. My name is Claire. I'm 34 and I work as a surveyor, the person who maps property lines, measures boundaries, and reads the legal descriptions buried in deeds that nobody else bothers to open. I spend half my year on the road, staking out parcels in counties most people have never heard of. I'm good at it because I'm patient, and because I never assume a line is where someone tells me it is. I check. I grew up in Hartwell, a small town in upstate New York, the middle child of 3. My older brother Dennis was the athlete. My younger sister Renee was the easy one, pretty, social, the kind of kid teachers remembered fondly. I was the one who read in the corner and never asked for much. My mother, Patricia, drove Dennis to games and Renee to recitals. I rode my bike to the county library and taught myself to read survey maps for fun. That was fine, I told myself. Busy families forget the quiet child. I kept telling myself that for 20 years, I was the one who paid for Mom's new water heater when hers failed. I drove 4 hours to move Dennis's furniture when he got evicted and didn't want to bother anyone official. I covered Renee's car insurance for 8 months when she was between jobs. I never asked to be thanked. I assumed being useful was the same as being included. The only person who ever made me feel like I belonged was my grandfather, Walter. His house on Linden Road, a gray 2-story with a stone chimney and a back porch that looked over the creek, was the one place I never had to explain why I was there. I lived with him the summer I turned 20, when I couldn't afford rent and was too proud to ask my parents. He made me eggs every morning and told me to stop apologizing for existing. When he turned 78, he handed me a brass key in front of the whole family and said, "This place is yours when you need it." My mother laughed it off. Nobody thought it meant anything. But I had no idea how bad it was about to get. It was a Wednesday in early December. I was in a roadside motel outside Binghamton, finishing a boundary survey for a new subdivision. My phone buzzed once, then again, then wouldn't stop. A group chat I had never been in. The title was a Christmas tree emoji and the word family. 41 messages stacked underneath like a wall I wasn't supposed to climb. Renee texted me privately a second later. "Ignore that, added you by accident, lol." Too late, I was already reading. The first few were ordinary. Dennis asking if the 25th worked, Mom confirming. Then it turned, "Message 12 from my mother. We should use Grandpa's good dishes. Claire won't be here to lecture us about chipping them." Message 14, Dennis. Ha, finally a calm one. My name appeared 0 times in the planning and 4 times in the managing. Message 19, Dennis again. "Just tell her it's the 27th like last year." Mom, message 22. Done. Say we're keeping it small, doing a little dinner the 27th. My Uncle Ray sent a laughing emoji. Then message 31 stopped my breath. "Dennis, closing's the 26th. Keep her clear until then." On what? 2 messages down. "Mom, the agent says the buyer wants a final walkthrough Christmas afternoon, so we need the place empty by noon." A buyer, a walkthrough. They were selling something, and whatever it was, they needed me hundreds of miles away to do it. I sat on the edge of that motel bed with the heater rattling and read it a 4th time. I was sitting 200 miles from home reading the exact plan to erase me. Then message 36, all capitals, from my mother. "Make sure she doesn't find out." My uncle laughed again. My brother liked it. My hands were shaking so hard the first screenshot came out blurred. I took it again. That night I made a decision that would change everything. I didn't sleep. I lay in that motel with my work boots still on and stared at the water stain on the ceiling. Every excuse I'd built over 20 years came apart at once. The missed invitations weren't scheduling errors. The wrong dates weren't honest mistakes. The silence after my voicemails wasn't everyone being busy. They weren't forgetting me. They were coordinating around me. I thought about last Christmas. I'd shown up at the family house on the 27th, the date they gave me, with a tray of stuffing and a bottle of wine. The lights were off, nobody home. I called my mother and she answered on the 6th ring, voice light as air. "Oh, honey, we did it on the 25th this year. Last minute thing. I thought we told you." I'd stood on that porch and apologized for not checking. It wasn't last minute. I just didn't know that yet. But the worst part wasn't even the lie. The worst part was the word that kept repeating in the chat. Again, like last year, run twice, and then it hit me, the house, Grandpa's house. They were selling Walter's house. Road, the gray 2-story with the stone chimney, the only place I ever felt like I belonged. He'd died 2 years ago. I'd assumed the estate was settled, that the house passed to my mother, that nobody told me because nobody ever told me anything. But nobody had asked me to sign a single thing. I sat up in the dark. My chest felt like a cable pulled tight. I realized then no one was coming to save me. I had to save myself. I didn't call anyone. Calling was the reflex, and I knew exactly how that conversation would end. My mother would cry. She'd reframe it. By minute 10, I'd be apologizing for making her feel bad about making me invisible. Not this time. I didn't want a confrontation. I wanted a process. So I did what I do for a living. I went to the paper. I opened my laptop and pulled up the county recorder's website, the same database I use every working day. I typed in the address, 88 Linden Road, Hartwell. The records loaded slowly. The original deed from 1971 when Grandpa bought the place, a mortgage satisfaction in 2004. And then, 9 years ago, one more entry, a quitclaim deed I could click open. The scan was grainy and tilted, the way county scans always are. At the top, quitclaim deed, grantor, Walter J. Bennett, grantees, plural, line 1, Patricia Ann Bennett, line 2, Claire Marie Bennett, as tenants in common. I read it 3 times. I owned half of that house, not symbolically, on paper, filed, stamped, indexed, searchable by anyone with a browser. Grandpa hadn't just handed me a key that day. He'd handed me a deed recorded properly, with a notary seal, without asking permission from anyone who would have told him no. He hadn't been sentimental. He'd been tactical. Week by week, I worked it, quietly, methodically. I pulled the full deed, saved it to a folder. I found the listing online, 88 Linden Road, 4 bedrooms, asking $289,000, listed 3 weeks ago by an agent named Donna Pruitt. I called a real estate attorney in Albany, not anyone from Hartwell, and laid out the facts in 4 minutes. He was quiet a moment. Then he said, "That closing isn't happening without you. Your signature isn't optional. It's structural." I almost laughed. Structural. That's my whole life, finding the line that holds everything together. They had no idea what was coming. 3 days before Christmas, the email arrived from my mother. No subject line, just an attachment labeled estate_paperwork.pdf in 1 line. "Claire, can you sign these and send back before the 24th? Just routine cleanup from Grandpa's estate." "Thanks, Mom." It was not routine cleanup. It was a deed of sale, transferring all interest in 88 Linden Road from Patricia and Claire Bennett to a buyer for $289,000. My signature line was on page 4, marked with a yellow sticky tab and the word "sign" in Renee's looping handwriting. Page 5 was the disbursement schedule. Every dollar of the proceeds routed to one account, my mother's. My name was on the signature line, and nowhere in the payment section. They didn't just want me to sign away my home. They wanted me to do it for free, and they bet I wouldn't read it. I forwarded it to my attorney. I did not sign. I did not reply. Instead, I emailed Donna Pruitt, the listing agent. Professional, calm, the way I write a field report. "I am a recorded co-owner of 88 Linden Road, tenant in common, per a quitclaim deed filed 9 years ago. I have not been contacted regarding the pending sale. Please confirm how my ownership interest is being addressed." I attached the scan. She called 4 hours later, her voice tight. She'd pulled the title report. "The closing," she said carefully, "could not proceed without me. The fuse was lit. I didn't need to touch it again." Christmas morning, I sat at my own desk in my own apartment with coffee going cold. The group chat was already glowing with cheer. My mother sent a photo of the dining table set for 4. White plates, 4 chairs. I counted them the way I count sir. Vase steaks precisely without feeling because the number is just the number. At 9:51, I tapped the message I'd written 3 weeks earlier and saved. Merry Christmas. Call the title company before you sign anything. 1 line. No emoji. No accusation. I wasn't going to give them a tone to criticize or a thread to pull. I was pointing them at the one person who already had the truth in front of her. The typing bubble appeared under Renee's name. Vanished. Appeared under Mom's. Vanished. Dennis's stayed up for 10 full seconds. Vanished. And then the room went completely silent. The chat that had been buzzing 4 minutes ago went dead. Then my phone started to ring. Dennis first. Voicemail. Renee 3 times in 2 minutes. Then my mother over and over, the phone sliding across the desk with each buzz. I opened a notes app and started a tally, because I'm a surveyor and that's what I do with data. By 10:51, exactly 1 hour, the count was 63 calls. For 2 years they could, because I'd rather not be bothered to dial my number on Christmas. Now they couldn't stop. I learned the rest later from Renee. Dennis had called Donna Pruitt at 10 that morning. She told him what she'd told me. The title showed 2 owners, only one had authorized the sale, and the closing was suspended pending legal resolution. The buyer was already considering withdrawing. Dennis walked back into the dining room, set his phone between the white plates, and said, "She's on the deed. The whole thing's dead." My mother's hand went to her mouth. My uncle stared at his plate. The candles kept burning, wax pooling in the holders, and nobody touched the food. The closing on December 26th never happened. The buyer withdrew within the week. We settled it in March in a mediator's conference room. My mother cried twice, once for effect, once for real, when the numbers were laid out and she understood that the house she grew up in had become a problem she couldn't solve without the daughter she'd spent to see. Christmases erasing. The house sold properly in the spring. My share after costs was a little over $130,000. I put it in an account and didn't touch it. It was never about the money. Before the new owners moved in, I drove out to Linden Road one last time. The brass keys still fit the lock. I stood in the empty living room where Grandpa's chair used to sit, said thank you to the quiet, and pulled the door shut behind me. I left the key on the porch, railing the one thing of his that stayed with the house. They spent 2 years making sure I wouldn't find out. And not one of them remembered that the man they'd written off the guest list had written me onto the deed years before because he was the only one who ever really saw me. My name was never a footnote, it was on the title the whole time.